Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are back for a needed discussion with my brother, a timely discussion with my brother, Coach Nazir. Coach Nazir, welcome. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Always been a pleasure, dear brother. Thank you for having me, of course. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the Muslimin.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So look, if you can, before we get started, because this is the very beginning, please let everyone know where they can find you. In case they don't make it to the end, I want them to know where they can find you, um, all your social.
Okay, no doubt. Indeed. Yeah, no doubt. My wives and I, we are the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. So that's our main handle at Facebook, YouTube, of course, our website, Outstanding Personal Relationships. At IG, it's Outstanding Relationships because that handle is too long. So whether you're looking up polygyny or polygamy or what have you, likely come across us. But Outstanding Personal Relationships is where you'll find us. I'm Coach Nazir, also known as a coach that helps men get their shift together. And that will be best.
That's what's up. And so getting their stuff together is exactly where we should start. So I'm gonna drop this first question that I have, man, so we can just jump right into it. Right here. One second, drop that in the link. On this topic of brothers getting it together, right? Put this up. Question for you. What is one undesirable attribute you notice in brothers that you feel blocks them in their marriage success, and a potential solution?
One undesirable attribute that I see in brothers that blocks them from marital success, one is honesty. One is honesty. And as universally loved as that is, what I mean is being honest with yourself. All right. We tend to all our lives have people directing us and letting us know what to do, especially in our formative years or what they call our developmental years. So whether that's dealing with a semester in school or making sure we have quizzes at the right time and what we're going to study and graduate, we have all these goals and parameters set up by others. Then when it's time for us to do it on our own as young men, especially coming out of high school or university or college or what have you, now we lie to ourselves on how good we are, what we can do with this false sense of self-confidence, and that equates to ego. And one of my mentors told me a while ago that ego stands for edging God out, if you look at it as an acronym. Okay, so being honest with yourself, the first thing, of course, especially as a Muslim, you will know the pride of the Iblis, his issue was pride. So that not being honest with yourself can also lead to pride, arrogance, the lack of choosing to learn and grow by admitting your shortcomings first to yourself. All right. And the one you go to, of course, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you have to be honest with yourself. Where am I? Meaning I have to introspect or inspect what I expect first. Am I qualified? I'm just talking crazy. It's just off ego, people that gas me. Do I really have these abilities in these different areas, or do I need to build them up? Because if we can't first start there, meaning that's the first start of self-awareness. If you're not starting there, you can't grow. There's nothing to grow from. And people talk all the time. We know, we've heard it like a cliche that the first step to change is awareness. So if you're not honest with yourself to begin with, there's very few things that you will be able to be successful at than faking it. All right. And then, of course, a potential solution to that is in itself. One is to inspect yourself. Where are you? What have you done? What have you demonstrated and accomplished in life? And what is it that you want to do? So developing that clarity. What is it that you want to do, achieve, or become? That's actually the most important piece. Who do you want to be? What is that identity? All right, because doing and having and all these other things are usually externally. All right, but who are you trying to be? That core of you, understanding that, getting that clarity, that identity changes the game. Because at that point, you can establish and be grateful and happy and have fulfillment at that moment while you're on that journey to doing and having and so on. So again, first, evaluate where you are, get some clarity on who you want to become. And then find others who've been there or have done that, have demonstrated from it, And we know that because we have the best example of all when the Prophet ﷺ and the best generations then move in that direction. You guarantee success. But if you don't have it, you'll be depressed. You can just kind of like a lazy river going back and forth. Anytime the wind blows, you go in one direction, move to another direction. And that, my friends, is a recipe for unhappiness. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I think connecting, building on that, connecting with like-minded brothers or brothers that you know that are already in the direction that you want to go can really help with that. That mentorship is critical. So the question that I guess comes up for me is, how do you handle, or what do you suggest when you're in that situation and you can't really find people that's actually on the path that you're on or treading that direction? Because for me, one of the things that I found is, for so long in my life, I was driven by what I didn't want to be, right? I grew up with a father that was more interested in the dope game than anything else. And so I grew up with, okay, how do you not become him, right? How do you not live up to the stereotype that you're going to be just like your father? And so that was the drive for so long. But when I found myself in graduate school and not really having any idea of how to navigate this postgraduate school. And then going internationally, I didn't know anybody in my circle that had lived internationally at that time. And so a lot of the financial mistakes or lessons learned, I learned on the job of just really making those mistakes, when had I known someone like you or like myself when I was younger, it would have helped me. But sometimes you don't really have somebody in the path, or did I not know where to look? Have you met brothers who kind of didn't know where to look or didn't have somebody in the direction that they wanted to go in?
Yeah, of course. Of
And
course.
what would you suggest?
Well, there's a few things. And I'm saying this coming from a place of privilege, because I had mentors. There are two things that I think affect your life more than anything else. And I hold this really as one of my core beliefs. There are two things that affect your life more than anything else. One, that is your deen. That is your belief system. Okay. For me, of course, that's Islam. And, I was formerly Christian and whatnot, for those who don't know. And I gave up organized. I went to Christian school, Christian high school. I know Christianity and the Bible thoroughly. And that's what led me to disown organized religion, although I believe there was a God. I just didn't believe in that system of Trinity and everything else. Too many questions went unanswered.
Yeah.
But I knew that something wasn't right. So I disowned it and I went on my own quest. I was not interested in Islam to begin with, even though I respected Malcolm X and I saw the movie and all that. But I wasn't interested in Islam because I felt, look, it's another organized religion and they're too disciplined. And I also told myself, I'm not giving them my weed, my women, and my baby back ribs. I literally said that as a teenager. So I studied a whole bunch of other stuff, but eventually said, you know what, you got to be objective, see what this Quran is talking about. And I had a Muslim guy who wasn't a good practicing Muslim, but, he was talking to me and he gave me a book after he got locked up. And I studied and I came across with Islam, sort of to ikhlas, alhamdulillah. So with that being said, is I didn't have models. I didn't know any Muslims, anybody who's practicing, anybody who's praying, none of them. So I had to figure this stuff out for myself. I came from a household as the oldest of 6. All right, my father and mother had me when they were 16 years old. So they were children, basically having me at 6. They got married at 21, divorced when I was 12, so there was a lot of things that was dysfunctional in my home. So you're talking about alcoholism, there was drug abuse, there was domestic violence, there was child molestation. There was a lot of different things that occurred that I was a part of, really unhealthy stuff. Okay. So I didn't have those outlets, these individuals, but I did see one of two things that we're attracted to, especially as young men. That's money. I wanted to know how to get money. And unfortunately, the people that I was around, they didn't really know much of it either. I mean, as a black man growing up in America, my mother's Puerto Rican, my father was African American, rahimahullah. So that's, kind of my dichotomy. And then I'm also from Jim Crow North, also known as Milwaukee, Wisconsin, one of the worst states in the country for black people, in particular when it comes to mass incarceration. It locks up more black people per capita than any other state. Okay. So those are my surroundings and circumstances. But I wanted to know about money. So went about it the wrong way for a little bit and finding other individuals and so on. But I was open to listening to some people that were different than what they had to show me. You know, they had uncles talking to me, cousins, different people, because I was going along this rebellious path, the stereotypical path where they were saying all the time, and were likely right. Look, by the time you're 21, you'll be locked up and dead if you continue going down this route. Mm-hmm. And I was absolutely going down that wrong route, but they couldn't show me anything better because my uncles, they didn't have what I wanted. So one thing is money. The other thing is your deen, your moral. Thankfully, I found Islam and that moral compass. Yeah. So with that and trying to study money, I had to decide, okay, what could I do? Where could I learn from? I only knew my great uncle. He had a watermelon business. It was a cash business. He was telling me how he couldn't read and write until he was in his 30s from Mississippi, became a multimillionaire through the watermelon produce business, literally getting watermelon for 7-8 cents a pound or less, selling for 30 and 40, 50 cents a pound up north for more, you know, buy and sell, buy low, sell high. Really simple principles. Bought a lot of real estate. So that's the only person that really impacted me on the legal side of money. Mm-hmm. So the other part, though, I remember reading a quote that talked about black people, talked about niggers in particular. So you want to hide something from a nigger, put it in a book. Mm. And absolutely, I'm using that word nigger just as the word, the quote was initially said to me. Mm-hmm. Put in the book. They don't read. You know, and my mentor said, you know, what's the difference between a person that can't read and one who chooses not to? You know, so I said, no, I can learn from people who've already done different things that I want to do. I don't care about their background. If I want to learn about money, I have to learn people who have it. Exactly. And authors and people who've taught about it kind of open my eyes to it in different thinking. So I had people give me books, something like Think and Grow Rich, for example, by Napoleon Hill, because I'm interested in money, right? Money's going to affect my life, impact my ability to be a man, to travel the world, to get married, to change my zip code, to change my family life. So money was very important. But of course, money only mattered after it only mattered second to Islam, because I need to make sure I was on that right path. So again, my foundation was Islam that dealt with my morals and how I would deal with money and so on and so forth, where it's a barakah instead of a punishment. But I wanted to learn about money. So somebody can easily say, look, I don't have anybody around me teaching me this, and they can use it as an excuse. Or you can say, listen, how much does it cost to get a library card? See, one of the things is we don't value free. When something is free, maybe it's a catch to it. Libraries are free. Mm-hmm. They are diamond mines of information, intelligence, education that takes you on a whole nother level. I think Mark Twain said it best when he said, never let your schooling interfere with your education. Sadly, we think that schooling equates education, and when you're done, that's it. But it's only the beginning of the path. So I began to read and dig into these books. And what really impressed me in that first book, Think and Grow Rich, was that there's a chapter dedicated to the Prophet ﷺ called Persistence. And it's talking about him with Hijrah. Now, this book was written in the 30s by old white guy. I'm talking about the original Think and Grow Rich, not the remastered, remixed version since the copyright is ended. Get the original if you want to learn these 13 principles that the 500 wealthiest people in the world, whom Andrew Carnegie, one of the first billionaires, put Napoleon Hill in contact with to interview them, to amalgamate all of their information and take these principles and put them in one book. And it took him 20 or 25 years of study and research to make the book. So I said, okay, I'm 20 years old. If I study this and learn this, that'll save me 20 years of life in connections I don't have if I put a few of these principles in here to think and grow rich. Because Benjamin Franklin said, you know, you need to pour your purse into your mind, and your mind will turn around and pour it back into your purse. Mm-hmm. Well, my relatives were teaching me, go to school, get good grades, get a good job. And that job will take care of you. All right, this job thing is a relatively new thing, as in career. So I was interested in money and building myself up as a man, being independent and doing better for my children, my family, than my parents did for myself and my siblings. So if you don't have that ability, you do have the ability to go to a library. Now you just go online, get audiobooks, you go to YouTube, you know, listen to audiobooks. You can listen to Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, for free, right on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it's not making any excuses, and understand that excuses are nothing but poor reasons to be useless. Mm-hmm. If you want to be useless, go ahead and make excuses, because it only has to convince you. You're the only person. Yeah. That's it. As long as that's it. You're the only person you need to agree to make an excuse to stop and not even make an attempt for something. And you are usually your biggest enemy. And I was my biggest enemy. Once I learned to get out of my own way and stop making excuses, my life path changed. Once I began to understand the sunnah a whole lot bigger, how the Prophet Islam was optimistic, and understand that the whole life story is about struggle, then progress. When you look at the whole sirah, it's about struggle, then progress. Any success you are going to have is going to come after struggle. And the only time success comes before work is really in the dictionary. So learning these small principles make a big difference throughout life, bro.
Yeah, I feel that. And one of the things that it leads into another point that I want us to mention, because so a lot of this conversation is coming out of some recent conversations that I've had with brothers. So just for clarity, majority of my client base are Muslim women. I have a small segment of my client base that are brothers. And within that, the majority are brothers that are financially in a good space. But there is a small segment that is working in the right direction, but they're not there yet. And what I found with that segment is emotionally, they're having a tough time dealing with the terrain of marriage, or getting married, rather, not actually, they're not married, but that process of trying to get married is emotionally draining for them. They're handling it in a dysfunctional way, and that's why they reached out. But so that kind of spurred this conversation that I wanted to have with you, and I've had with another brothers, and connecting the two things that you said. One of the things that you mentioned earlier is, what have you gotten done? And I'm of the opinion that, like, confidence is something that you earn. And what I find a lot of these brothers are saying, and they're asking in all humility, is, how do you become confident? Where did you get your confidence from? And what I say to them is, you actually just have to do. You have to, one, get out of your way thinking, right? Because of this fear you have if you fail, right? But you have to actually do. You have to get out there and try the things that are going to move you towards the actual goals and the vision that you have. And so the question I would have for you is, and that I would send this to the brothers that are needing of this. If someone asks you, how do you build your confidence? How did you get your confidence? What would you say?
All right, there's two things, two particular things, and I'm glad you brought that up, because we come across this thing. Once we learn how to articulate, then that's when we begin losing. Mm-hmm. All right. As a father of 10 children with my wives, I notice that when my babies are young, or were young, my youngest right now, he'll be 5 shortly, inshallah. But before they could speak, you could not stop them. You can say no and maybe delay something, but you're not going to stop them from learning how to walk, from learning how to talk, from how to do anything. But once they began to articulate how to say no, stuff changed. Then they may not feel confident in moving forward. It's like you fell down 3,782 times last week and kept going. You could walk before you thought you could walk, even though you were holding my finger and I was giving you no support, but you can walk. We all went through this process, don't even remember it. We're literally geniuses at that level, at that age, and get dumbed down more and more as we go throughout school and go through our life. But confidence is very interesting, because there's something known in psychology as the confidence competence loop. So there are 4 stages. The first stage is when you are unconsciously incompetent. That means you don't even know that you don't know. You have no clue that you don't know. That's the unconscious incompetence. Then, after introspection, after asking questions and getting clarity, then you know that you don't know. So whether that is how to speak, how to communicate effectively, how to not sit on a live stream like I am right now, not saying, sounding dumb. Sounding dumb. I'm just going to call it sounds dumb, right? You can be extremely intelligent, just not articulate with saying things, coming off the spot, doing contemporaneous speaking. So you sound dumb. Survey-wise, if someone asks you a question, do you like something, and you respond with a one-word sentence like, would you like some ice cream? You say yes. Okay, that's the lowest level of intelligence when measuring it. And then when you learn that, yes, I would like some. Okay, cool. That person sounds more intelligent. Or, yes, I would like some. Thank you. That person sounds that much more intelligent. We're measuring intelligence, even though we have no idea, just by words and communication. But now you're consciously aware. So now instead of saying when you might not catch it in your brain at the time you have some brain fog or a brain fart, you just pause and you let it come to you normally. Now you're consciously competent, since we're talking about the example of communication. Then you are consciously competent. When you are demonstrating that you know how to pause, make eye contact correctly, smile, make sure your posture is okay, knowing that you're giving off a good positive vibe and energy, and you're able to read someone else. You're consciously knowing this, like, I know I'm looking good, I'm smelling good, I'm feeling good, I'm giving the proper vibe. You know, I'm not stuttering or stumbling over my words. I'm here. You're consciously competent. Then, after that level, though, the highest level is unconscious competence, where you don't need to think about it anymore. You can flow. You're in a state of flow by getting there. You're like, yo, okay, I can do this. It's like you're reading a letter and you're reading to the people and you're reading and you're saying something and you're going up and you're down here and up and whatnot. And then the challenge comes to, all right, I'm here. You're looking up at the crowd. Then now it goes to a paragraph or maybe a sentence. You're reading a sentence and then you can move forward. Reading a sentence, then you can move forward. Then it's just bullet points. Then there's no card. So now you can give a speech 45 minutes with just 5 words memorized in your head. So now you have the whole thing down for speaking. That's unconscious competence. So this is the loop. This means that you must do. You must do first. You're not going to learn how to swim, learn how to drive, learn how to ride a bike by thinking about it, studying it, anything. You have to get in the game and actually do it. That's the challenge. All right, that's the challenge. Let me do one thing, my brother.
No problem. No problem. I appreciate that. That was thorough. That was thorough. And what it brings to me is, now, how do we then apply that to this process of getting married? How do we apply this to this process of making yourself more marketable, more valuable? And that leads into another question we have to discuss about utility. But how does that translate into marriage?
Well, let me finish. I'm going to finish on this part though.
Okay.
On confidence, because there's 2 parts to confidence. There's a psychological confidence competence loop, but there's also this one other part that's so smooth to me that I love it. It's very simple. Confidence, and listen to this definition. Confidence is believing that you have the ability to figure it out. That you have the ability to figure it out. That's it. If you believe in the ability to figure it out, you can put your hand on your chest, you're feeling, you're thinking, you don't have mental issues or challenges. You may not have the answer, but you have the ability to figure it out. I don't care if someone going to a library, going on Google, YouTube, meeting a friend, networking, praying, making istikhara about it, whatever it may be. Having the ability to figure it out, that much should give you enough confidence. You only need enough to make your next best move. Your next best move. You don't need the whole thing in front of you. Allah Ta'ala is the best of planners, not us. But what is it? Whatever the plan is, can I figure it out? As a new Muslim, you're like, oh man, learning this Arabic, learning how to pray, Al-Fatiha, trying to get it right, and 5 times a day, and trying to get this and memorize more Quran, and that was a challenge. But as you get into it, you do it, you're good. You getting up, you wake up middle of the night, you find it's a blessing. You get these rak'ah tahajjud. You reading Quran 4 pages a day, or 4 pages after every salat, you finish the Quran during Ramadan. These small things are fasting in the wintertime, this easy time to fast. Ramadan will be here in a few months. But then going through the summer, just these little things. But Islam is about discipline, doing those little things. And when you're a new Muslim, when you're a convert, when you accept Islam, you don't even have to know the Al-Fatiha. The Prophet let you know to say these small little things. SubhanAllah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Do the salat until you learn it. But you learn about spatial repetition, because repetition is the mother of learning. And going into the question that you asked, okay, how do we translate this to marriage? Well, before we get to marriage, we build ourselves up. I let brothers know you need to become more attractive. The fact of the matter is marriage is not that difficult. Marriage isn't that difficult. The difficult part for marriage is being in a happy, fulfilling, and joyful marriage. Mm-hmm. Find a woman to marry. That's not something that's hard. Men have the advantage right now on that. Now, what is attractive? Confidence. Believing in your ability to figure it out. That's attractive universally, especially to women. Because in general, women are there to support. They're not there to, I want to lead this and they want you to lead that. You have the position to do that as a man, as the imam. But it's an attractive trait. Women that struggle with you, if you're struggling, but you have a plan and you move in that direction. But being confident, not egotistical. Remember, we started this talk off dealing with the ego and false confidence. But knowing what your shortcomings are, knowing that you need to grow and you're doing something consistently on that is relatively simple. So what I let brothers know, like I said, two things are going to affect your life more than anything else. That's your morals. That's your deen. That's your foundation. Because if that's right, no matter what, you aren't going to harm other people. You aren't going to oppress somebody else. So even if you give it a marriage and stuff doesn't work out, you're not in fear of her being threatened. And if you marry somebody with a man, you're not in fear. Maybe it won't work out, but you're not in fear that she's going to do something wrong to you because she fears a higher power than you. So that's your foundation. If you're doing business, you're not going to take advantage of somebody, not because, oh, they might catch me, but because you self-check, because Allah Ta'ala is the all-knowing. You want your transaction to have barakah. So that's your foundation. The second thing is money, knowing about money. All right, knowing, and when I say money, I say it because it's a general term that we deal with. In general, most people have never even touched money. Money is gold and silver, has these 6 characteristics, so on and so forth. If you don't know the basics of it, then you should really go to, write down, take notes, The Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney, watch the free YouTube series and study it. Study The Hidden Secrets of Money. Also study The Ascension of Money. It was a 6-part BBC documentary. The Ascension of Money, you'll find it online. Right? Learn about it. Learn about the currency that we deal with. Learn about the World Bank, the IMF, the Federal Reserve System. Learn about that stuff. Learn about the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944. Learn how it's falling apart right now as we speak, and we must protect ourselves. Learn about these things because it's going to affect you, your life, and your quality of life. And of course, it's attractive when you have that figured out. When you can take care of yourself, you make sure it's coming in as much as possible. You have it spread out in different assets in different areas, different countries. Again, that goes a little bit further. But one is, you know, that those two things are lifelong studies. Yeah. So what do I suggest? 3 things. 3 things. And this prepares you for marriage because it prepares you as a man. And as a man, and a man that's moving forward, you likely like women. You were created and designed that way. And I suggest all men get ready and prepare themselves to practice polygyny because there, 1, are more women, and 2, it requires you to become a whole lot more than just average. All right. So 3 things. It's the books you read, the audios you listen to, and the people that you hang around. Those 3 things that make a larger difference in your life in the next 5 years, in my opinion, than anything else. The books you read. So whether it's Audible reading the book to you, even though I prefer personal physical books, or you're listening to them on YouTube, but you have a digest, 1 book a week at least. I mean, if you're young and you own it, you have more time than you have the rest of your life. The least amount of responsibilities that you will have the rest of your life.
Let me pause you because I know from my sessions what I'll hear with this. Great point. Give me a tip. Give a brother a tip. Give a sister a tip for getting through that book in a week or 2 weeks. What's a tip? Because I'm sure you know that's going to be what people are going to have as a New Year's resolution or entering in the first quarter is to get to level up when it comes to their reading and their consumption of knowledge. So what's a tip that you can give?
No problem. All right, I'm going to give you 2 things. The first thing I'm going to tell you is to lie, cheat, and steal. To lie, cheat, and steal. Okay? And the second thing I'm going to let you know is about what it's called the slight edge philosophy. And pardon me if I go on a tangent, but it's going to take a few minutes to explain this and break it down.
Hold on. All right. I got coffee. You go all night, bro. And the wife and daughter are good.
Depending where you are in the world.
There you go. Let's chop it up. Sam's a
All right,
good
let's get
talk.
it. Let's get it. I'm gonna let a brother know and her sister know. Lie, cheat, and steal. When I first heard this, and I'm sharing information with you that come from my mentors. All right, see, a mentor is not necessarily a friend. They can be a friend possibly, but they're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to say what you need to hear. All right, so my mentors asked for my permission. They said, look, Nazir, do I have permission to push you as long as I can push you to the bank? See, I wasn't taking their other lifestyle stuff. I didn't want any of that. I'm Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need that advice. I need advice on money. And my mentors had it. And it was coming in. They were building organizations, changing people's lives. And I'm like, yo, man, what can I do? They were like, A lot of people say they want it. So he said, lie, cheat, and steal. I'm like, look, bro, I'm Muslim. What are you talking about? Lie, cheat, and steal? He said, listen to me. I said, okay, what's up? He said, you have to lie awake in bed at night thinking about the possibilities. Thinking about the possibilities. A lot of people just should on themselves. They should. They should all over themselves. I should have did this, should have did that. Oh, 2021 could be my year. 2022. Oh, COVID messed it up. You ain't read the book Who Moved My Cheese, and now your cheese get moved and you complaining. You scared. You're nervous. He said you got to lie awake in bed at night thinking about the possibilities, meaning that you are already planning. You're already envisioning a proper future. You're already making and having this vision for your soon-to-be family or wife or whatever it may be, but it got to be something that keeps you up and agitates you. So he said, lie awake in bed at night thinking about this. I said, okay, cool. We lie every day, all of us, right? So I can do that. He said, cheat. I'm like, all right, this would be an interesting one. Cheat. He said, cheat time away from the meaningless things. He said the average American watched like 7 to 8 hours of TV a day. And this is when he was telling me really before the internet or the early stages of like dial up, right? Now they spending hours upon hours a day on social media, scrolling, going back and forth, or watching television, mindless things. You're not doing it for business purposes. He said, cheat time away from that. Cheat time away from Netflix. Cheat time away from scrolling over here, talking to friends, posting a fake life that you want to have, but you're not working toward. So cheat time away from that. I said, I can do that. I got it. My father didn't do it. My mother didn't do it. I got to do it. If not me, who? Then he said, you got to steal. I'm like, okay, I got the lie and the cheat. So the stealing, like, how you going to make this one right? He said, listen, steal every good idea that you hear. There's very few new things, very few new principles that are timeless. Steal every good idea that you hear. So I'm like, bet, got that. Then one of the first good ideas I heard from my other mentor was like, look, it's okay to copycat as long as you copy the right cat. I'm like, word, I'm already in Think and Grow Rich. I'm already following you. You say, listen, come to a meeting a week, come to a training a week. Go to one training in another state every single week for 4 hours. Invest in yourself. So this goes to the tips. That's the first part, lie, cheat, and steal. Now, you want to tip and get through a book a week? The average book, about 250 to 300 pages. It takes about 4 hours to read. About 4 hours at an average pace. That's if you're reading the physical book. Again, you can have the book read to you. Me personally, I might put it on 1.5 speed on Audible or YouTube, whatever it may be, unless it's a really technical book. Then I like to go over it. I like to take notes. But again, I prefer the physical ones. But where I am right now, it's hard to get the physical book, so I have to listen more often than not. So another thing, remember that cheat time away? Well, one of the things he said, look, one of the things I figured out was, look, I can go ahead when I'm in the shower, when I'm grooming, I'm washing up. Your brain is thinking, it's going. For some people, it's already at the job. For some people, it's already at the school. It's not being present in where they are. They're eating breakfast, talking with their children, or just seeing their children, or in their device while they're right there with another human in front of them, missing this time as their life goes by. But why not have this book right here, or this audio, those 3 things I talked about? Why not have that playing while you're in the shower? Why not listen to Jim Rohn and get some gems? Why not get some Kiyosaki popping? Not any Islamic stuff, not on any Quran, nothing like that. But why not have that going on when you're in the bathroom? Ain't nobody else in there bothering you. You know what I'm saying? That's some private time, even if you have children, right? Or you're driving. So you have a drive time university. Many people commute to work and spend more time in work than some people will sit in school for an entire semester. But they will miss that time listening to the news, talk radio, music. All this stuff is bubblegum for your ears and does not directly impact your financial, your religious, or your familial life. So those are the tricks. You want to finish your book a week? It's nothing. It's nothing. When you get on it, it's like working out and feeling well. You get addicted to it. You want more of it. You see yourself growing, coming up with these different concepts and these different ideas. It only takes one to put you on a trajectory toward winning. So if you don't think you can figure it out, if you're choosing to speak negative to yourself, the first book I'm going to suggest you get, which is a foundational book that everybody should have, no matter who they are, where they come from, is by Carol Dweck. The book is called Mindset. Mindset by Carol Dweck. You have the fixed mindset or the limited mindset, then you have the growth mindset. Those are the only two. And you don't just have one or the other. It's a mix. I'm not going to go into her book, but mindset, find out where you are, take your quizzes, take your assessment, and build from there. That's the foundational book everybody needs to have. And if you're looking for more tips and so on, then, of course, the next book you need to have is by James Clear, Atomic Habits, unquestionably.
Yeah. I'm actually coming back to that one, quarter one.
Indeed. James Clear, genius book. Genius, well written. It talks about systems. It's amazing. We put little things into our life that makes a change. I mean, I have mentors say, look, if you're going from New York to Hawaii, man, if it's off just a few degrees, you're going to miss the whole place. You'll miss the whole island, everything. Just by a few degrees. So you have to check, you got to correct, you got to go back and forth all the time. And the more you do, the more you're on it with yourself, whole new person.
Agreed. Let me come back because I also want to, because you kind of slid that in there, subtly but clearly, about every brother should prepare for polygyny. I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna circle back to that. But I got one more question I'm gonna pose to you right quick. Because this is again came up from a discussion with a few brothers that it took me kind of off guard. I didn't expect it. And that's this. Is there something wrong with sisters marrying you for your utility? For me,
is there something wrong with
that? Yeah, is there something wrong with that? For me, I don't know. So I have one response as the coach counseling lens that I gave, but on a personal level, to me, that's what you want, right? Like I want to be able to present to a sister that I have utility, that I can bring a certain lifestyle, a certain comfort due to the resources that I'm able to procure. And so it took me off guard when a few brothers were taken back by that. Right? So it just no judgment, but it just I just like, that's what you expect from a woman, right? Like, am I off? Like, honestly, like, real talk, like, am I off?
The word that's missing, the word that I think is missing here is there something wrong with sisters only marrying you for your utility? You know what I'm saying? If this is the only reason they're marrying you, as in they're not looking at developing a relationship or having love and building a family and those types of things, having some type of sakina in the marriage, then you just feel you're being used. But you want to be used. I mean, there's songs about it. You use me till you use me up, right? So you want to have the ability, one, to demonstrate, of course, your worth, but at the same time, you're doing the same thing for her utility, which is totally different than hers. That we need each other, regardless. Now, if it's only for that, like you use me just for my stuff or just for these things I can do, if that's only the thing, like you don't have attraction to me, nothing, it's just, oh, you have this amount of money, so therefore I'll just be stuck and do this duty, and something is robotic, and there's not love and that companionship and compassion, then that's going to be a challenge. You're not dealing with robots here, but there's an expectation of that. You are supposed to do
It's a
that. As a man who
transaction.
has daughters, you think I'm not going to be looking for a man who can demonstrate his utility and ability to get things done and take care of? That's common sense to me. Sadly, we get today that you as a man can be just like a woman. And this whole thing is, men are basically women with penises and women are men with vaginas. We're all the same and have the same thing. No, we're not. We're different. We're built different, want different things, and we're supposed to be. That's normal. It's natural. It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with a woman doing it. That's how they choose. They're hypergamous in general, right? So they're supposed to be able to do that. The question is whether or not we feel that we have enough confidence and self-esteem to be the one they choose because of that, or at least are leaning toward or attracted to because of that. Because if we don't set expectations and standards for ourselves, best believe somebody else has them for us. And one mentors told me a while ago, it's like, if you don't set goals, don't worry. You don't have to really worry about it because somebody else already has you as part of their plan.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make sense to me. Now, if it's only for utility, then you get into the part of using somebody. For yourself, I give an example. Somebody can see you're doing things, you're making stuff happen, everything else. And now, just like you get male predators, usually that, is related to sexually, you also get female predators. You know what I'm saying? Traditionally called gold diggers, so on and so forth, right? So we have these things for people who only want to utilize somebody for their utility, meaning that's it. That's the only thing you could do for me. This what I'll do is just transactional. And that takes out the love, the compassion, and these other things that marriage is really built for.
Do you think a part of that is?
I get it.
Do you think a part of that is not having a vision? Because for me, what I'm thinking is, if a sister comes to me and she sees the utility that I can bring to her life, the comfort. She understands, because I have a vision, that there's a program that she has to get on to get access to that utility. Right? Like,
that's the thing. That's excuse me. That's the thing. They have to recognize that there's value to begin with. Understanding that value, that's part of your utility, your being as a man, and you being able to demonstrate this stuff. You got a track record already. Okay, that makes absolute sense. The question comes that second part. All right, if a person doesn't, if that word only means it's a lot. It's just in that little word, because if it's only, it stops there. She has to do nothing. She has a right to claim and want and all this kind of stuff. Women are going to do that. Like I said to begin with, these things, including confidence, make you attractive. That's across the board. It doesn't matter what country, doesn't matter any of that. Women are going to be attracted to somebody with confidence, have their stuff together, have their mind together, have their vision, have some money. They're going to be attracted to that, no matter how you look. All right, no matter how you look. That's not the highest on their list like men. Men are seduced by their eyes, women are seduced by their ears. So that's supposed to be there. The next step is, if it's only, then of course there's not anything she's going to be trying to get with. She's going to be, I'm me, so therefore I have a right to you in your utility. That doesn't make any sense. Because now if you want me and to fly under my wing and my protection, and it's my plan, you're joining my team. I'm not joining your team. But the challenge when it comes to men, sometimes is that other experiences play into their current ability to be objective. So it's she used me before, she's done this, and no, they only want you for this and they play you, so we get those type of reactionary things from men just as well as women. They build walls, men build walls as well, but ours look a little more polished and more smooth because we don't tend to share those losses or where this feeling comes from.
Yeah. I think this kind of speaks to this comment. It says you want to be useful and utilized, but not used and utilized. The difference is I give you as an exchange versus you taking it from me for free. Yeah, I think, again, for me, when I hear this whole dynamic, it's that leading part. It's like having that vision, having that program, and any sister knows that when she comes in your space or she wants to get on the team, she's going to have to bring some value, and that's a fair exchange. And I'm not going to allow myself to be used because I have a vision, I have a direction. right? Because anything you do is going to be on this train in this direction. We're not stopping to go in a different direction. You got to get another brother for that. So I just it was something that came up that for me I found a little bit. I was perplexed. Like this is the, you want to be able to afford a woman a certain comfort, right? And she's going to give you that in exchange because of what she brings to the table, right? I said it before, it's a dance, and you just got to be willing to dance, right? Let me come to this other piece since you brought it up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put it on you since you brought up the P word. You brought it up. I ain't,
Yeah.
I was trying to be, but there you go. Put this
You had
up
something to
here.
say about it?
Yeah, talk to me because okay, let me give you the context for this. The question is, what age should sisters entertain polygyny? And my question to you is this. Let me give you the background for this question. What I've found, and I would love to hear your perspective, what you're seeing. What I've found is typically younger sisters are opposed to polygyny, right? Although recently I found something interesting in my client base is that younger sisters are seeming to get it, right? They're starting to get it that, this is not uh, uh, this is not something that they should be in objection to, have a visceral response to, right? But I'm finding though that late 20s to 30 range, mid 30s is kind of this, uh, like I said, this visceral response. And I'm also finding, which is strange, is when sisters hit this 37, 38 mark, it's like they're having this mind, okay, I only got 1 or 2 years left, so I can't entertain polygyny because these are the last 2 years before I hit 40, and it's gonna happen. Meaning my demand for monogamy is going to happen in these last 2 years as I hit 37. And the thing that the logical part when I speak to sisters is like, man, look, if you started at 20 for 17 years, you didn't get monogamy. What makes you think that now in these last 2 years before you hit 40, which is the magical number for you that you can then entertain polygyny, what makes you think it's going to happen now? Like, why wait? So my question to you is, what age range do you think sisters should start entertaining polygyny?
Personally, I don't think there is an age range at all. All right. Because polygyny is simply another form of marriage.
Mhm.
That's it. Now, see, some people may watch and they be like, oh, well, he's talking about polygamy, blah, blah, blah. And, it's only for those who are, single mothers or divorced or widows, or they give all kinds of different excuses that Islam doesn't give. And it benefits all of them, yes, but it's not restricted to them. And the reason I say any age is because, okay, cool, you can wait on monogamy all day. But here are the facts. The vast majority of people in monogamous marriages divorce.
Mhm.
All right, so you're going to wait on something that's most likely going to fail anyway? Okay. When you say that these younger women are recognizing that polygyny is an option at a younger age, for example, now to come to the realization that, you know what, maybe I can pick somebody who's already demonstrated he's good at building a family and has more resources, because this is just the reality of things. And they're breaking away from this feminist liberalist thinking that, oh, everything can be our way. We can have everything how we want it to be. And even at 37 years old, you consider having a geriatric womb. That's a horrible name, by the way. But you can be geriatric. I think that's like at 35 or 36 now, something like that. But geriatric womb at that age. And of course, women have that biological clock. Now, I'm also speaking as a father. I have adult children. I have 2 children that are married. I have 1 grandchild and 1 on the way, inshallah ta'ala. All right. 2 of these daughters, they're married. They prefer monogamy. They're married in monogamy. And I have 3 more daughters I'm responsible for. 2 more biological daughters and 1 bonus daughter. Okay. All of them desire polygyny. None of them have ever been in any relationships. We're talking about early 20s and one who will be 18 in a few months. They all want polygyny. Okay, a couple of them want to be the first wife, then they want their husband to marry multiple wives because they see the benefits of it and how it could work functionally, and they see the wisdom in it because their parents are practicing it. Now, was it always that easy? No, it wasn't. That's why we came up with different products. That's why we formed outstanding personal relationships, and we're educating people about polygyny right now. So if you think it's just all about you as an individual, as a woman, it's all about me, you have to provide for me and, be my knight in shining armor and all this old stuff that Disney got you mixed up with, you can continue to believe this delusion if you like. All right. If you understand the whole history of polygyny and monogamy, you'll recognize, just like Nancy Cott puts in her book, Public Vows, that it's a very sinister reason that it was put that way and designed by the West in particular. And it goes all the way back to white nationality and white nationalism. It's something else. But at least for America, how America is concerned. But the point goes to this. Polygyny is simply a form of marriage. Only has it become, monogamy has become normalized in the last couple of hundred years. All right. Men, we have not changed. People, it's a different time. I'm going to tell you about what's different with time. The thing that's different with time is technology. Technology. Our biology is the same. 1,000 years ago, we have the desire to travel. We had the desire to procreate, to earn income. 5,000 years, 10,000 years, 150,000. We are the same as human beings. Technology has changed drastically, especially in our time. The challenge is that women have become more vulnerable and taken advantage of in this time. So we're talking about 200 years ago, you'd be on a horse and buggy. You know what I'm saying? Your 20-inch rims would be made out of wood. And 20 would be a little small. You need a barn and everything else, right? Just a couple hundred years ago. So a couple hundred years, nobody was flying in the air. That was not normal. Flying in a car, talking on a phone even 20 years ago that wasn't huge and having a big antenna connected to it, or having a phone that was a part of a bag, you know what I'm saying, or a cord when I was younger, or taking food and put it in the microwave when it would bing. This technology moves so fast, it's crazy. Well, we can talk right now, different countries, different time zones, seamlessly streaming right online on the internet, costing basically nothing. Where you have to broadcast it, be in a TV station with cameras as big as our upper torsos, and have to pay crazy numbers to broadcast to a very small amount of individuals. The way life has changed has been affected by technology. So when we talk about polygyny, putting it simply, a form of marriage, the challenge is only men that have morals and want to make it work are going to be successful in it. Because you can have serial monogamists all day. It's not easy for a man to practice polygyny. The man is going to talk to you about polygyny. That's something that's noble and it's honorable, because it takes responsibility, because sex is easy. Sex is easy.
It is.
But when you have morals, that restricts yourself. Now, here's the thing. Do you think that your man got morals? Your dream man? Okay, because we can go down the line of Muslims, non-Muslims, pastors, preachers, imams, leaders, all this. I don't care if you're talking about Tariq Ramadan, Muslim. I'm like, hey, Pastor John Gray, Jimmy Swaggart during my time. You can go on and on. All the politicians, Reverend Jesse Jackson, his child, John Adams was running for president. All these individuals. But guess what? Polygyny requires that you're responsible for your pleasures. They're legal for you. You must take care of her. You must take care of the children. They have equal status as wives, not jump downs, not mistresses, none of this stuff. You must take care of them as a man. Why? Because your creator knows you and put a desire in you more and better than you even know yourself. There's responsibilities that come with it. So when should a woman entertain it? Well, when there's a man that ticks off the checklist of her boxes, and she's just time has her behind. Meaning that, all right, he's been married 5 years already, but he's demonstrated he's able to do this for his family. He's take care of his kid, take care of his wife. They have these different resources. He has utility, and he's proven he's good to his family, everything. Good reputation. Well, she might want to go ahead and consider it at that point. He's already demonstrated it. The only thing that differentiates her is time. He met his current wife at a different time. She met him maybe 5 years later, heard about him 5 years later. But guess what? He can marry up to 4 if he's not striving to just be average, if he's not, stuck in the status quo and not choosing to be a bigger and better man. All right, because if family is very important in Islam, and it is, if family brings many barakah to you, and it does, if righteous children who pray for you after you're gone are one of the three things that will continue to rack up blessings after you're gone, and it is, then expanding and have a bigger family, which the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam encouraged, he did, then polygyny and doing it in a healthy way is absolutely a solution for that type of attractive man. So I wouldn't mind my daughters. My daughters want to get married to somebody that's already married, that has this stuff together. Excuse me. There's no problem with that. They're young. You know what I'm saying? They're smart. They understand the important part about femininity, understand other stuff from business and stuff with us and everything else. They're gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? The challenge is finding a man younger in age, around their age range, that is open to that. I know a brother, really good brother right now. He's looking to get married, and he's going to be practicing polygyny. He just got divorced, has some kids. Really good brother. I would marry my oldest daughter to him if she, you know, we're friends, so we like almost close. And then she'd be feeling like, you know, it's my daddy age. So that's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? But I would offer my oldest daughter that's available to him for marriage. We live in a different culture, though. But this is a brother who has the means. The means are not an issue. Very fit. His deen, alhamdulillah, is on point. Came from a, you know, stressful situation. Really good brother. You know what I'm saying? He has to pick. Right now, he has the opportunity to do it. He's in the top 1% of income earners. With his business and what he does, top 1%. You live wherever you want to live in the U.S., regardless of the high prices. You know, Muslim, good brother. You know what I'm saying? But I can't put him out there like that. Because all of a sudden, you only see that utility, and they only want him for that utility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So wanting that, of course, that's attractive, no doubt. There's no question. I mean, I interviewed him, I had him on my show, and we were in his suite and stuff like that. Really nice, really good brother. But, you know, with that being said, the question is, you know what? I told him personally, I think he should get married. He should marry 4 wives, probably a week apart. Have his program and everything together, how he wants things to run. Marry him a week apart. Set the standard. Write a book. I mean, he's known. He already has a few different Amazon bestsellers. But I'm just saying, he has the capability and ability to do it. If he wants to build a family, they need to be of baby-producing age, you know, where it's not geriatric for however many more children he may want to have. So, again, they should be entertaining it if they want to win in marriage. Sadly, the pickings are very slim. Taking that from a father who's actively looking for righteous husbands for his own daughters. It's not easy. Now, for my sons, they're younger than my daughters. You know, they're teenagers and stuff like that, all the way down to almost 5 years old. So their stuff will be easy. The question is just trying to find out what type of women they like in what country. You know, much easier for them than it is for my daughters. You know, they got a chance to go ahead and try to make this mug work with one shot around and making sure the men are on top of it. So wait until their 30s and 40s. If you want to do that, you can do it all you want to, but you're going to get a man full of some baggage, most likely, and you're going to have to be able to cooperate and unlearn a lot of stuff. And it's a lot easier to give birth than to raise the dead. So learning something versus unlearning and then relearning and retraining. Nah, as an example, I'm married to 2 women, and my wife, you know, I'm good with 2 for now. I'm open. I wasn't even looking for a second wife. It presented itself and all that kind of stuff and got married. So I'm open, but I'm not looking. But discernment at my level, if somebody's going to come into where I am in my life right now, for my age, I'm different than when I got married when I was initially 19 years old and then when I was 35 years old. 2 totally different people. And who I am now is a totally different person than I was 10 years ago. So it's not like, oh, you just be cute and all that kind of stuff. Nah, now you have to hit this and check that and all of these different things. And I'm not looking for any. So,
and that becomes the issue, right? Because I share the sentiment. Like I'm open, but I'm content, and I'm so content. I think the standard, the bar is just so much higher. You know what I mean? From when I got married years ago to where it is now. And look, let me get this game out to sisters, because shout out to my wife, may Allah preserve her, mashallah.
I mean,
I peeped her game. I'm gonna give you her game. Her strategy was, I'm gonna make this guy as comfortable, as relaxed. I'm gonna make this house as peaceful as possible, so that the standard gets high So to anybody else that's interested in him, because mashallah, he come around with that bow tie on and that pink and purple, mashallah, smelling good. She set the standard up so that way it's going to be hard, because the reality is this: when you're comfortable as a man and you have some sense with you, real talk, you got some sense with you, you're looking at the return on investment, the ROI. If I'm in this house and I choose to open up this house and I'm gonna go to this house, it has to give me the same level of peace and tranquility. If not, for me, it ain't worth it.
Yeah,
Why
no doubt.
exhaust my resources when I can just keep my resources and stay where I'm at? So the game that I would give the sisters that are listening, that may want your husband not to go down that route, but you're not putting up opposition, here's a slick way to do it. Just keep the house as peaceful and tranquil as possible. Make it a good relationship between the two of you, because you're gonna create, if he's a healthy man, you're gonna create a level of contentment and not complacency, but contentment and comfort, that the next sister got to meet a bar, that she really got to come in with some value. Because I tell you, Habib, that's where I'm at. Like I got spots open, but I'm in a space where the bar is high. The bar is real high, and looks ain't gonna do it. Looks really ain't gonna do it. I'm good.
That's a given. Now I understand what my father meant when he said it's dime a dozen. I didn't get it back in the day, but I understand it now.
Yeah. Let me hold up. So I'm gonna come to one thing. So this is a comment that was made. Many sisters see polygyny as their last options, unfortunately, and that's what I see, unfortunately. I see it often in my client base. But let me put this up here. This is Coach Nasir's contact info, outstanding personal relationships. Make sure you take a minute to jot it down, take a screenshot of it, so you can make sure you hit my brother up afterwards. I got another question for you. Since you brought it up, you see how I'm just sliding over to you? Yeah, you know what I mean? Why should men prepare for polygyny? You mentioned that earlier. Why should they? Why should that be a part of the mindset?
Yeah. Well, for a number of different reasons. One is we know men's nature. A real man's nature. Now I'm saying real man diminishing anyone, but a man has a desire for women. Allah Ta'ala says this in the Quran. You have a desire for women. Allah puts a desire for women in us, for wealth and gold in us, sons, children, land, business. All of this is already in us. It's programmed. Okay. But here's the reason. And I just shifted it over a little bit. My mentor said, as one of your goals, you should have a goal to be a millionaire. You should go to be a millionaire. And I'm sitting back. I was maybe 20, 22. No, let me see. About year 2000. Yeah, about 22, 23 years old. And he said, you should put as one of your goals to be a millionaire. I'm like, duh. I mean, of course I want to be a millionaire and this and that and so on. Yeah, I know my family. I want to do this and this. I'm all over the place. So I'm young and just energetic and ready. I'm like, yeah. He said, you know why I say that, Nazir? I'm like, yeah, you can travel where you want to. You got options. You got this, and you can be doing that, and take care of your family. You can get sort of you can go on Hajj, all this stuff, right? He said, no. He said, no. You should have a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you. For what it will make of you. So I was like, I had to sit back and think about that. And how this relates to marriage in men. You should desire to practice polygyny simply because of what it will make of you. Really, what it will make of you. See, the strategy, the decision-making, the financial planning, the effective communication, all of these things are important in just normal marriage. But you know what? It's not prioritized. You married, you got it. It is what it is. Boom. Options are locked off. They figure, I got my man. You like, my ball and chain, whatever it may be. But a man that's growing, that's striving to at least qualify. Qualify, well, now, not just qualify, I'm a man, I have this. Nah, you qualified as in if you choose to do it, it's peaceful. They can't question the measurables. All right, there's the measurables and there's the intangibles when it comes to polygyny. The measurables are obvious. They can be measured. That's time, that's money. All right. You can check the ledger, you can check the clock. Those can be measured. That's nothing. That's easy. Easy to see. Now, the intangibles is where you become even better. The intangibles so far as active listening, your communication, demonstrating strong leadership skills, making better decisions for your family, making sure your finances are up to par, not just for the present, but for when you are not here. If you don't have a plan already to take care of your family when you're gone, then how much do you really care about the fam? Now, you may not have a plan, but are you working on it? Are you reading it? Are you taking the courses? Are you studying it right now? Or do you know anything about anything digital online? Are you getting money that's not geographically restricted? Are you looking at assets and protecting them in different countries? You're looking at different currencies. Are you holding gold, actual currency that has won every financial collapse over the last 5,000 years since the first one in Athens? Do you even know that? You know what I'm saying? So these different plans, they require more out of you in polygyny. They require more. So since they require more, you become that much more attractive, whether you choose to practice it or not. So every man should absolutely be qualified. Every woman should not be satisfied with someone who is weak. What I mean is, Allah Ta'ala already says, and many ulama already say, you know what, the default is plural marriage. Allah Ta'ala says first marry 2, 3, or 4. But then he says, if you fear you cannot do justice, if you fear you cannot do justice, if you fear you cannot do justice, then marry only one. All right, then marry only one. That's the exception to the rule. Now, many women are absolutely okay with their husbands feeling that they cannot be just. They're unfair. What kind of woman wants to be married to a man that's unfair and weak and not able to handle it? Isn't it much more attractive to be married to somebody that you know can do it, but chooses not to? Because you made it so comfortable. You set that bar so high that it's like, do I even want to chance that? You know what I'm saying? I don't have time to on board and teach somebody new and raise them up. That's not my job to do that. You come into the squad, you adding value to it. You know what I'm saying? So, but that man has the ability to make that decision. The one that doesn't have the ability to make that decision is less attractive. So that's why every single man, you should be already mentally figuring out, all right, I got one. I mean, some people, I don't have any. Cool. That's fine. It's okay to be ignorant at first as long as your goal is to be intelligent over time. So that's why you should be checking out your finances, your physical fitness, your fiscal fitness, of course, your mental and emotional, your spiritual, and of course, your core values. These are just 5 requisites that I said are important for understanding what it takes to practice polygyny. So taking your own report card, where are you in these different areas of your life? You know, my guy who's open and stuff right now, in about 4 of those, he's good. One of them, he's really working on that leadership stuff and the emotional stuff. He still got to work through a lot of that part right there. But he knows it. And that self-awareness allows a change and able to be working on it. So when he's ready, he can literally and should literally, I say should, but you know, he's new. He's only been married to one woman in the past. But people are winning. Women have expressed interest. Of course, his utility is through the roof on a whole nother level. So it's like, why not marry one this week and the next week and the following week and the following week? Now you have 4. They understand the plan. You already laid the stuff out. You being transparent. Everything else, you already have more than enough to take care of all of them. They come on board according to your plan. Why not? Why not at least have that ability? You may just want one and want to travel the world and do your thing and enjoy all this stuff and pay stuff off and set up orphanages and donate to different massages and all of that. You may want to just do that with 1 or 2. But to have that ability simply because it gives you options. And as you grow and evolve as a man, you should grow and evolve as a man. I'm not thinking the same way. Some of the same beliefs, yeah, but none of them have changed. They've been refined over the years since I first got married at 19. Didn't have any, I wasn't intending to practice polygyny. I knew nobody who did it. But had I known that somebody said, you know what, you want to at least strive for that, then I would have probably been studying a little bit more, taking a little bit more time, putting more money to the side for different investments instead of some vacations, instead of getting some toys. I'd have been putting it toward investing in different things because I'd have been thinking that way earlier. Not until almost 15 years later Did I open my mind up really to it, and this stuff became available just based on it? But had I done it a little bit sooner, it could have been a lot easier, because money just means you more options. So I think every single man should strive for that and should voice that. One, because they want to be a man fair enough to do it should they choose to, and everybody should have the harder and difficult conversations, and it's only emotionally difficult anyway. Because that will either raise traumas that you may have had or not understood, or your relationship with women, or the woman that you have married that might raise some things with her that you didn't know would come out to that time. Sadly, we don't understand the different challenges that happen, and what Allah Ta'ala lets us know that some of your wives and your children are enemies to you.
Yeah.
And we don't know a lot of the traumas until certain situations come out. And one of those situations is polygamy. Whether that's abandonment from the past or different abuse and stuff in the past, things that may have been unmentioned prior to any type of marriage. And now they come out when polygamy is said, and you have no idea why. But having that conversation and open those communication lines, whether it's initiated by the husband or the wife, is essential. And if you cannot speak about it without just being reactive or highly emotional, then that speaks to the state of your relationship. And if your spouse is supposed to be your best friend, then they need to treat you like a friend at that moment, or find a time to either discuss it, or many times men like to talk on paper. Write it down, whether it's an email or just write it down, getting it out, because a woman will have 10 words to one word that we speak and outdo us every time, that weapon of the tongue. So I encourage all men to be that man that is qualified to do so, and all couples to discuss it, whether it's prior to or during your marriage. Because even just having that conversation will strengthen your marriage, and where stuff will stand. You won't be surprised.
Right. Question for you. Why do you think that that's not where we're at as men? That isn't even in the realm of our thoughts, right? That preparation for it on a serious level. Why do you think, for the most part, that's not there?
Because it's difficult.
What do you mean?
Because it's difficult. It's much easier to have a side chick. It's much easier to have a girlfriend. All right, it's much easier to do things immorally. It takes a special kind of man to want to build another family, and share his utility and his resources with somebody else. For sex? Because that's usually what I think it is. Oh, it's just sex. Oh, sex is a part of it, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about that. We're men. But the fact of the matter is, as a Muslim, you can marry up to 4 women at one time. But guess what? As a Muslim, and all throughout Islamic history until relatively recently, you didn't have a limit on the number of women you could have sex with. Because you have concubines. You go to battle, you have prisoners of war, you have concubines. You want to complain about concubines? You could have 20, 50, 100 concubines. You could. Okay, so let's get that out the way right now. You are not simply restricted to having sex with your wives. That's not part of what the ayah says. Even the ayah talks about, or those whom your right hand possess. Okay, that's what it's talking about. But today, since we're not dealing with that and that type of war and so on, we're just talking historically, so that women understand our nature a little bit more and what's really going on. That is not easy. It's much easier to play the role. It's much easier to take advantage of women in today's society. Attention. Many of them want attention. I mean, it's easy. You see it all over the place. Whether that's dealing with the Muslims, who are wrapped and think they're covered, or those who don't cover, or those who pose and do all these types of things in different positions, or, do one thing during the day, another thing at night. So it's difficult to say, all right, listen, I'm going to build this house. I'm in the status quo. People have girlfriends all the time. And now you talking about another wife? Nah, you got to call her a girlfriend. I'm more, with that. Many wives would prefer that.
Yeah.
Many wives like, you know what? I prefer you just go and sleep with her, cheat with her, than to go ahead and marry her, to give her a position of honor and status equal to me. How selfish is that? You'd rather your husband commit zina and to do something that if the hudud was enforced, he'd be stoned to death. SubhanAllah. Are we forgetting that the minimum that a man is going to have in Jannah is 2? If you make it there with that type of thinking, the challenge is real. So the reason it's not there in other circles is that, 1, again, it's difficult to do, but 2, we become so weak, so passive. We live in such a world, right? Well, I can't say a world. the West in particular lives in such a place that we come from such feminism and liberalist thinking that we're, we, for other words, you just weak. For other, G-rated words, we'll say weak when it comes to your man masculinity.
Do you think it's a fear of society, community, what they will think, or do you think it's a fear of what the wife's response would be? Like, what do you think that fear is in brothers? Because when I speak to some brothers, they don't even, it's not even in the mind. It's not.
No, it's both, because one, society doesn't accept it. They don't, in general, accept it. Again, serial monogamy or girlfriend's boyfriend, they accept it all day. Something that, has a massive negative impact on society, they will accept it. But a man saying, all right, I'm going to step out of line, out of the status quo, doing something that's natural, something that's moral, something that every religious book has already demonstrated is lawful in the sight of God. All right. Instead of doing that, one, going against status quo, our society is already conditioned, men and women for that. They're saying monogamy is supposed to be the way. Right. And then the secondarily, a part of that is their wife, usually from that same community and society in the West. So not only are you dealing with that, but you're dealing with her conditioning and yours. So now you feel that you have to suppress your natural desire as a man for women. Like, what's it about sexually lower desires? Well, here's the facts. The fact is, if that is the case, would you miss a wife that's saying that he's only doing it for sex, only keeping the word, is only doing it for sex? Did he only marry you for sex? Is that he only married you for a warm bed? Because that's what you're saying. Because he didn't need to get married. Matter of fact, he had less being single than being married. Mm-hmm. So did he only marry you for sex? Nah, see, exactly. It's a whole lot bigger when a man wants to marry another woman. You gonna have sex, that's fine. All right, but 24 hours a day, how many hours are you having per day?
Yeah.
Right. It's a very small number. So it's a lot more that goes into that. Allah knows what he created. But the desire and the engine, of course, is strong, but there's other requirements that go with it. So fearing what their wife will say, yeah, you know what? Because we live in such a society that a woman has this a woman generally are taught that they can have whatever they want. They have whatever they want. It's all about them. You serve me, you give me this, you give me this big wedding, you give me all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And I look cute and I do this and I do that for you. And so you must do this for me forever. That's who I am. I'm the queen and the princess, all of that. All right. It's all about, say happy wife, happy life. Trash. Oh. Nah, not at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we give that ladies first, ladies first. In general, I understand the etiquette, but I remember one of the famous rappers I used to listen to, I'm sure you listened to him back in the day, now has a very famous podcast, used to be part of the group called the Ghetto Boys. His name was Willie D. He had a song talking about ladies first. And I remember him saying it because I learned a lot of things in my childhood at that time as I was budding into a young man. But he said he wondered who made up that. 9 times out of 10, it was a woman, even though it wasn't the word he used. You know what I'm saying? So you put that first in changing the family around. But as a Muslim, we already know Shaitan's number one thing is to break up the family, right? Now, if his number one thing is to break up the family, he does it from many different angles. I don't care if you're talking about the feminist philosophy or ladies first, and this is what goes here, over the family, meaning you want to build an entire new family, have new children, have all these extra barakat and everything else, and this woman would be hurt emotionally from it, so therefore her opinion is bigger than the whole society, and her pain, as real as it may be, dictates the decisions and the rules. No, feelings are meant to be felt. But that doesn't dictate your decision. Allah Ta'ala in his wisdom, who is Al-Hakim, did not address the women one time dealing with polygyny. The Prophet ﷺ did not address the women one time and giving them a role. It's the man's decision. If he fears he's going to be unjust, then marry only one. He didn't ask the woman, you don't need a permission, you don't need all that. No, it's best practices to have this communication and all that, which is what I'm talking about now. But it's the man's decision. A man going to have to be a man. But man is scared to be ashamed for sex. You know what I'm saying? Not understanding the power of it. That's another reason I like the book Think and Grow Rich, again, written almost 100 years ago. Has a whole chapter on sexual transmutation and how we can utilize that energy and everything else in us and have what we have done throughout the past to build civilizations, to conquer, to expand, to teach, and to dig deep in further generation. All of this stuff by utilizing the same energy Allah Ta'ala created us with. Okay? Massively important. I remember when I was a new Muslim and thinking about that, especially, Ramadan, you can't do this during Ramadan during the daytime. There has to be some wisdom in this. Prophet ﷺ asked, who who was not with their wife the previous night when it came to time to a janazah to get in the grave, to put that body in the grave. There had to be some wisdom behind this. So I'm saying all of that to say that men aren't willing to be men today in fear of being shamed for being a man. And then on the flip side, in destroying the family, they're trying to they have redefined for some people who are willing to buy into it, what's actually a woman, even the dictionary. Are you kidding me? Now you need to know your pronouns. If you need to know my pronoun at all, we don't even need to be speaking. If you're entertaining that, we don't need to be speaking. You condition so far to, on something else that we can't even have that same discussion. So breaking up the family is Shaitan's idea, but how can we not recognize this is his number one goal? That's his most pleased goal. Number one goal is get you into Jahannam, but his most pleased act is breaking up that family. But we don't see the different attacks that are coming. How you not see it? But you don't know, you can't define what a woman is. Men are right now appropriating women. We can get upset with somebody appropriate a race. Men are appropriating women, calling themselves women now. Men, women. Same definition. We've been around a few 100,000 years. We've known what it was forever until Barack Obama came in. This is his legacy and what he brought pretty much in the States, this whole trans thing and everything. So we're there right now. And we worried about other stuff? Come on. This is crazy. Yeah. So when it comes to passport bros and stuff like that, or going to other countries and traveling and seeing femininity still there, the nuclear family still being there. And in the US, you got to look back to the 50s, which is a hell of a time, especially with people of color. It changes the game. So, I'm getting off into a tangent there, but
you right on cue, because the next question is, what are your thoughts on brothers leaving the West for marriage? And it's interesting because I picked up on a point that you made about your sons in terms of what country they like, right? When you were talking about when it's time for them to get married. So what are your thoughts on this concept of passport bros? Because in the African-American community in the States, it's prevalent as well. Not just the African-American community, but also the Latino community as well. It's very prevalent. Caucasian Americans have been doing it for decades in the States as well. But I also found once I converted that's a significant number of brothers that were marrying from back home. And then it kind of had this stigmatism on it. But now that I'm doing this work with coaching clients, what I'm finding is brothers are opting for that. Like that's the first choice now. That's what I'm seeing, right? And so your thoughts. What are your thoughts on brothers opting to go abroad to find a wife?
I don't see any problem with it. I think it's sad that we come to that point where the men in general have to feel, they have to go somewhere else, that the women aren't so conditioned through feminism and losing. Women are literally stabbing your own self. You know what I'm saying? You literally shooting yourself in the foot. You're hurting yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you're being taught all this stuff. How this strong woman, I could do all of this, and we equal and all this stuff. No, we're different. It doesn't make sense. But to have to beat you up and go and you beating yourself all upside the head, try to figure this out, or fight, try to argue, bring in all this masculine energy, but you don't know the difference between masculinity and femininity, how it's supposed to attract, how important femininity is, how a woman's supposed to use her influence with femininity, how she's supposed to allow her husband or man to lead. You know what I'm saying? These basic things. I remember I was a newlywed. I think I was 19, 20. And I was at my grandmother's house. And there was some food. Grandmothers usually have food, right? So I'm at my grandmother's house on my black side. And my aunt was in there. And my wife was making a plate. She's making a plate for me. So she's making a plate and all that kind of stuff for me and all that. And, my wife kind of got out the way because they were in the kitchen. The kitchen's a little small. And she thought my aunt was going to go ahead and make her husband a plate. I'm making my own plate. He can make his own. Who do you think he is? Like, what?
Yeah.
Interesting. My wife was like, what? So she came and told me, like, she was like that. I was like, hey, that's how they kick it. That's not attractive at all. They saw it as, someone who needed to serve him. But He provide all the stuff for her. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic. Why deal with that type of stuff when you can be dealing with someone that's better than that? You can deal with someone that already has a culture that's better than that, that allows you to feel that traditional men, the thing that you're supposed to be doing, protecting and providing and everything else, is appreciated from the get-go. And they stay feminine. You know, I've traveled to maybe 13 to 14 countries now, you know, and I have not seen, other than the US, the amount of ridiculous thinking and conditioning that goes on. I mean, specifically happened, at least in my opinion, of course, the war with the black family happened after the rise of black consciousness nationally back in the 60s. You know, you see the rise in the 70s of drug use, of course, of heroin and stuff after the war. You had the black exploitation flicks. Then, of course, 80s, you know, you had crack, you had cocaine and stuff come through. Of course, you had Nixon, the war on drugs. The 80s took out a whole generation of people, including my father's generation, for example. 90s locked them up, you know, with Clinton in the mass incarceration. And then, of course, you know, we dealing with the children right now. So this has been going on for the black family forever. Then, of course, you got the whole gay and trans agenda. Who are the people that are carrying this out? Who is that in front of? You got Russell Westbrook in dresses. You got Dwayne Wade trying to change the gender of his son. You know what I'm saying? So the direct attack on the black family is clear, but the black family is also seen as the biggest threat. According to J. Edgar Hoover, he said the biggest threat was, you know, black people raising up and uniting. You know, we didn't have an issue. We were funding the movement back in the 60s. You know, we had the United Negro Improvement Association with Marcus Garvey doing over 100 years ago, what no other black man or woman or organization has done to this day. There's no black ocean liners doing business with Africa throughout the Caribbean or going on cruises. There's no black manufacturing facilities and companies, you know, owning orchestras and warehouses and auditoriums and facilities that build and make our own clothes and dolls and toys. None of this stuff. It's over 100 years ago from a man that had less than a high school education, but had an organization with well over 6 million members. Who did they use against them? They had light skin, dark skin. You had W.E.B. Du Bois, you know, against them. We ain't had nobody like Garvey since. Malcolm X's father was a Garveyite. He was getting their money together. Elijah Muhammad, that whole movement, you know what I'm saying, we're utilizing his principles. That's a threat to the U.S. And we didn't have problems having children. That's a white people problem right now where they're going against. And you see Nancy Cott, I wouldn't be surprised they'd be trying to put polygyny back on the bill right now to help improve themselves just on a racial basis. But again, that's another discussion. But I think it's wise.
You think it's wise?
I think it's wise.
Yeah.
If you don't have the time to onboard somebody, all right, and wait around, the world is big. You know what I'm saying? For example, if any of my sons, I mean, if I was in the marketplace as a young man, all right, you got fake eyelashes, you got fake hair. You think injecting other parts of your body is better than working out? You already X'd off the list. And I'm hoping all my children, all my sons, all my children have people with, you know, they married to people with melanin. You know what I'm saying? I know where we come from. And they have more choices. So I don't care if you're talking about, all right, you want, you know, Afro-Latina, you want somebody from, you know, the motherland, you want somebody from a certain area, whatever it may be. You can marry 3 or 4 wives. The resources and all the stuff is going to be there. But, you know, they should be women and know how to treat a man. Not just any man. They need to know how to treat their husband and be raised in a culture that doesn't shift the balance there. Not saying, okay, I'm a woman. I know where I stand, how I support. I know my role. The husband knows his role. Things move pretty easily and peacefully.
Yeah, I think that's a critical part. Like I give my, you know, one of the things that I think has been extremely helpful in my marriage is me maintaining frame from the very beginning, coming in with frame and maintaining that. And for me, maintaining frame is really a thinking thing. It's a mindset thing, right? And being in control of your emotions. So despite what's going on, you're able to still respond versus react, right? And you can do that when your thinking is right and you know how to de-escalate the thinking in the moment, hence de-escalate the emotion. For me, that's a part of it. That's a critical part of it. But I have to give credit to my father-in-law. And I think this is an important thing for brothers to keep in mind. You want prioritize a sister, give a lot of weight to a sister, and you won't always find this, but give a lot of weight to a sister whose father has done a lot of the heavy lifting for you, right? And you just need to come in and specialize that, make it particular to your interests, your preference. But you want the father to have done the heavy lifting. She understands what it means to be a wife, how to be obedient. It's not repulsive for her when you mention that, or that is a topic that comes up. Femininity is something that's already been addressed. The father and the mother have done the heavy lifting. So, my brother Ismail, I know you're here. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on brothers leaving the West for marriage?
So, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to apologize because I'm a little bit sick, so there's going to be some coughing going on. So I apologize for that. And I want to apologize to brother Nazir because English is not my first language. So there's going to be a lot of ums and and you know, I'll be looking for words. So bear with me. I know you don't like that. Yeah. So I'm for context, I live in France and I was born and raised in France, but I am Algerian. Both of my parents are Algerian. They were born and raised there. They got married and they came here. And so I was born and raised culturally as an Algerian, but I was also born and raised in France. And I saw both cultures. And now I'm 30 years old. I'm not married. And for a long time, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna be married from back home because I had some preconceived ideas about women from back home. Women from back home would come here just for the papers, or women from back home who, you know, uh, come here and then they change up and things of that nature. But now what I'm seeing is brothers going back there, marrying and leaving the woman there, right? So she stays in her environment. And so far so good, man. It's pretty successful. Now, when you look at both markets, you got sisters over here, man, wearing the jilbab. You got sisters in the UK wearing the niqab. The niqab is forbidden in France by law. So because France is a known Islamophobic country. But bro, you can find the sister that got the jilbab or the niqab. You can find a sister that has never dealt with men. But there's always something going on that repulses you, either lack of respect or lack of haya, or you don't trust that she totally fears Allah. Even if she does, she still wants to challenge you. She doesn't want to be a wife. She's going to be argumentative. Um, there's a crazy story, bro. She used the deen to not be a wife. So this guy, he's married to a sister who, quote unquote, studies the deen, right? And she told him that Imam Malik said that it's not mandatory for me to cook for you. So I don't want to cook for you. That got me messed up. I was like, bro, this is crazy. And I contrast that with my own experience. When I was 18 or 19, I went to Algeria and my little cousin was being born. So all the extended family came to visit. And at that time, there was a cousin, like a second or third cousin. I never met her. And I think, she wanted to get close to me. And it was not appropriate when I look back on it, but I was not really into the deen. Neither was she. But the femininity was there, bro. It's like I never felt that. In France, I never felt that. She made me feel like I was, a whole family man, right? Like I had 3 children. And I felt like a king, bro. And the way she behaved with me it was like I was on steroids. I felt more of a man.
Question for you,
Yeah.
B. Question for both of you guys. The counter argument from sisters in the West would be you going abroad would increase the number of sisters that are not able to find brothers for marriage. You are taking away the resources and the good men for us to marry.
Uh,
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Like, I don't, I look
It's
to
delusion.
me. Hey, I agree. I'm just, I'm trying to put the counter argument that is illogical on the table because the reality is, sis, even if a brother does go abroad, polygyny is a valid form of marriage, and you can still marry that brother with resources, and or you can do the work beforehand to make the adjustment that you are the viable option.
That's the main thing right there. Are you that viable option? Why is there such, it clearly cannot be such disrespect, all right, and lack of marriageable material like that men would actually be going to other countries to find women? Or is that the case? And if that's the case, how are you any different? And are you available for that? Because I hear people say all at the same time, well, if you marry multiple women, then that leaves less women for men. See, that's really not how it works. See, if you're living on a block right now and there's 20 single women and there's 20 single men on the other side, are these just going to automatically come together because the XX and XY chromosome, they just get together? No, exactly. That's not how it is. It's not that you're leaving the pool open or available. It's that you want something. You want something now as a man. You have standards. You have discernment. And if you aren't ready, or I don't know you're ready or where you hiding at, then I have to do what I have to do. A man needs a plan, right? And a lot of our listeners know, is the earth not big enough for you to go check it out? See what's up? Can't blame bad behavior. I'm going to sit somewhere where somebody's been conditioned to believe that we need to state pronouns when we speak, or, it's okay not to say if I was born at different and you confused about that. We're going to have a conversation about that. That's where we're starting. Nah, I'm going to go ahead and check this out and deal with these burdens over here, maybe learning a different part of a culture or even a language. But I can understand and respect that in my nature, I'm going to feel at home. Now, I don't know how the sister was making the brother feel a certain way. You might be reminiscent of putting something on it because it's the past and distortion in, generalization you're becoming here. But just to get that feeling as a man and to talk about that was over about 10 years ago. But you want that every day at home. And if you can't find it here, you got to fight for it or fight somebody mind for it. When the society has already stuck that belief together like Velcro and you have to undo all of that, is it worth it? When you can get a plane ticket and go somewhere else to check it out for yourself? Nah, see, that's where you got to be rational about things, ladies. Because I'd rather spend $1,000 on a round trip ticket somewhere to go ahead and see my options than to waste the stuff here and deal with other stress and try to train somebody. Like, it's anytime a woman says you can't handle me, animals and vehicles and stuff are supposed to be handled, not another human. I don't want to handle another human. You know what I'm saying? So if you think that you need to be handled, somebody need to be strong enough for to deal with that, nah, that's unattractive. Thank you for relaying that before it's too late, because you really can't fake those normal, natural feminine traits, especially if you're in a place where the family isn't valued like that, and these precious behaviors and feelings and characteristics and traits are being erased from the culture in mass. And then you want to join something with a man who wants those basic things. Now, he don't want you to go back to the 50s. He wants you to bring back the thinking of the home life of the 50s to today. Nothing wrong with that. Because you want the same thing with being provided for and being at home and not having to work out there like today, like was done back in the 50s. And if you want that same traditional thing, that's what men want as well. In general, those who are of value.
Yeah, I can't tell you the feeling, man. I had a feminist attack me once. So I made a post about the training of my daughter by my wife, right? And that when I come home, everything stops. They come to the door to greet me. No matter what's going on, priority is me. And so this is not something that I came up with. This is just, mashallah, just how my daughter was, how my wife was raised. Again, my give credit to my father-in-law. He did a lot of the onboarding and the heavy lifting for me. And so I've noticed, and I made a post about how my daughter is being raised by her mother to be a wife, right? To prioritize her husband, who provides a comfortable life for her. And so this feminist attacked me, and it's like, going, you're on some patriarchy. I can't believe that you would be instilling this type of thing in your daughter. And it's just the mindset of some sisters in the West. They literally, as you said, I think you worded it properly, they shoot themselves in the foot. What does it cost you to drop whatever you're doing and come to the man that has literally retired you, the man that literally is taking care of you? What does it cost you to come, stop everything, and give him a kiss?
Yeah.
It's about being strategic. And I think, unfortunately, and this is the part that I work with the sisters, is the emotion is getting in the way. It's a time to be logical, right? Be strategic in your thinking.
Yeah, but brothers, like, so what brother Nazir said was, I second that. You know, everything was facts. I want to say that too. Sisters who say that don't realize this, right? We're not automatically looking back home. What we are going to do. So it's simple. You're working. You're saving money. You're putting money aside. You're saving some money. You're planning for the future. You want to have a wife besides you. So you start looking. You don't see anything going on. And some of us persist longer than others. I persisted for years, bro, like years. But the issue is, what sisters don't understand about us is that we are willing to stay alone just so that we can avoid a marriage with the wrong person. So they don't understand that. They say that you're taking men away from the pool of men that are available. Men have already taken themselves away from this pool because they don't want to marry you. As if they wanted to marry you, somebody would have knocked at your door and asked for your hand, and it didn't happen. Why? But they don't want to ask themselves this question of why, because now you got the A word, accountability.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So let's put that on brothers. And see, I got a list right there that was sent to me today of a sister in France, right? Now, this sister is like me. She's Algerian, but born and raised in France. And here's what she wants. Now, I'm guessing this is the minimum. I'm guessing she won't settle for less than that. Check this out. So the brother needs to pray his 5 prayers. He needs to be of the Maliki Madhab. He cannot be a youth. He cannot be a pervert. He has to have at least an associate's degree. He needs to be making 2,200 euros a month. I went on a salary converter. This is about 3K or 4K a month in the US, depending on where you are. And if he's over 25, he got to be making more than that. He got to be tall. He got to be handsome. He has to be Algerian as well. He has to have the willingness to travel. He cannot follow any woman on social media. He cannot be younger than her, no more than 3 years, and no more than 6 years older than her. He cannot have a family that's quote unquote a leech, or a family that has a bad behavior. He has to be willing to get married within 6 months, and he has to be willing to move out the country and go to a Muslim country within less than a year. So that's how it is, bro. Now listen, if I if I went to this sister and I said, "Look, I got the perfect brother for you. He ticks every boxes. He's exactly the way you want him." And I ask, "Hey, sister, now the brother is asking, what does he get?"
Yeah.
Now it's going to be complete silence. Where he gets me, right? But then when you start talking about, yeah, but the brother wants to be greeted at his door. He wants you to take off his coat. He wants you to prepare a bath for him. He wants to have some coffee or tea ready when he gets home. He wants you to be nice to him, to cook for him. Oh, so he wants a slave. I'm not his maid, right? Now listen, when these sisters get married, they're like early 20s, mid 20s. So let's say she's 25 years old, bro. 25 years old of programming, of education, not just from society, like, school and her friends and the Hollywood and all that, but also within the home. Because a lot of people don't realize fathers and mothers are guilty of what's going on right now. Mothers are telling their daughters, hey, baby, get your degree, get you a good job. Don't let a man walk all over you. If you're too nice to a man, he's going to be walking all over you. He's going to be a tyrant. Um, he has to bring this to the table. He has to bring that to the table. He has to provide for you. He has to have a good situation. And the father is seconding that. And it's all about the husband has to be this and he has to be that. And don't let him be this and don't let him be that. So she grows up not trusting men, and she grows up thinking that she's entitled to certain things from men, but she's never taught how to give her part.
I think that
And
I
now we
think that's
find ourselves in those situations.
I think that segues. Look, brothers, respectfully, we're in the crunch hour right now. I got two more questions for you guys, and we're gonna just keep them short. But if you need to elaborate because it's such a great question, feel free to do so. But two questions left. Let me put it up here. There we go. Question number one. One uncomfortable truth you would share with sisters and a potential solution. What's one uncomfortable truth? One uncomfortable truth that you would share with sisters that you feel as though, for whatever reason, they've been lied to and haven't been told. What's one uncomfortable truth you would tell sisters and a potential solution?
Go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, so um, I would say that they were raised to be something that we don't want to deal with.
Mm.
And they've invested their time and effort and energy into becoming something we don't want to deal with. And now they have to reprogram themselves. And it's going to take a lot of time and energy and effort
And is that
to.
the solution?
I think the best way human beings can learn is through emulation. I think sisters are out to find women who are great wives, women who are now probably grandmothers, and go over there and learn from them. I think this is the best solution that they can that I can offer them.
Okay. Okay. Apologies. Um, so with that being said, for me, I think when I think about this, I let me I guess back up. Part of the work that I do, um, mainly what I do with sisters, and I think, inshallah, for whatever degree I think I've been successful with this. Yeah, it's a part of the skill sets that I've learned, through education. I think the other part, though, in this is just telling sisters the uncomfortable truths. right? Telling sisters the uncomfortable truths and also giving them the skill sets to be able to handle the discomfort emotionally that comes with those uncomfortable truths, right? So for me, that is a part of something that I deal with almost every day in sessions. And I think for me, one of the uncomfortable truths that I would add to this is um, your baggage is heavier than you think, right? Your baggage is heavier than you think, and that also applies for brothers as well. But I think we're more self-aware when it comes to our baggage because we have to deal with the consequences often of our baggage. um, but my uncomfortable truth for sisters would be your baggage is probably a little bit heavier than you realize, and the solution to that, or a step in the right direction, would be take the time take the time to learn how to assess your baggage and deal with it, whether that be learning how to regulate your thinking and emotions, whether that be learning what type of friends you should have, building a support system. But that's the uncomfortable truth that I would say. Your baggage is typically heavier than you think, and it's heavier than your girlfriends are going to tell you. Coach Nazir, what's up? What you got? Uncomfortable truth for sisters and a potential
Uncomfortable
solution.
truth, sisters. Sisters, men are simple, not shallow. Simple, not shallow. Simple as in it doesn't take much for us to find peace and to have us fulfilled. Don't take much. Same basic stuff that hasn't changed with technology. All right. But we're not shallow. Sometimes they say women are more emotional than men. Nah, we just express it differently. Okay. And we measure differently. So keeping me happy is not much different than keeping many other men happy. Doesn't take much to really provide that peace, honor, love, nobility, respect in the house. This is what men, again, generally want. And only those who are willing to step up and become more of that man can demand that. So we simple, not shallow. So if you thinking we shallow because we simple, that's what the problem is. That's delusion. Because what's deluding many is that there's an entitlement, privilege mindset. Simply because you exist does not mean that you it. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like the prize is just you. Well, you got me. No, 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 no. Sorry, sorry. There's what 7, 8 billion people on the planet, and half of them got what you got between your legs.
Mm.
It's much more than that when it comes to marriage and commitment. See, the challenge is that you have to understand the cost for sex is a lot more for women than it is men, especially when we're talking about morally, when we're talking about baggage and other things. So, yeah, we simple, we ain't shallow. That's why when you're looking at it, if you can be objective about it and look at the market in general right now, you can say, well, men have the advantage. We know that. But if you want to play that game, then you have to increase your value. And increasing your value is really easy because all you have to do is look back. Go back to the generations when women were women and they knew they were women and they were willing to be women and men were men. Kind of like Archie Bunker, right? You know what I'm saying? Those were the days. Women are women and men were men. So my advice, we simple but not shallow. If you understand the distinction there, you could actually win. It doesn't take much. You're not trying to get married to more than one husband, but you do want to work your best to get the best one. And you don't deserve him just because. You have to deserve him because. That's what I'll suggest.
And Badr Alu, Apologies if I butchered that. Uncomfortable truths, more men rediscovering their masculinity, younger and more desirable overseas sisters as legitimate competition, offering better options to men. Yeah. Got one more. The coming global recession and women normally more disadvantaged in such economies. Uncomfortable truth. Yes, it's like what 2023 might be in terms of economically for globally, actually, in terms of potential recessions. You know, it's wintertime, it's cuffing season. Now's the time to make sure you bund up, literally. So let's look, respect for time, you brothers. I appreciate your time. So here's the last question. How are you ending out the year, the fourth quarter? What is a piece of advice you would share for the first quarter of 2023? How are you guys ending out the year? And how are you planning? What's your strategy for the first quarter of 2023?
I'm being more, pragmatic, saying that we need to start doing things right now. And, you know, uh, we have a saying over here, we say, uh, done is better than perfect.
Mm.
And you just have to go out there and start something, whether that's entrepreneurship, whether that's having people linking you up with women either back home or to another country or to other communities wherever, right? But just start and see where it takes you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. And the strategy for the first quarter that I would share is don't be so much into your head, and go out there and start something. It's really, now is lower risk than in the future, because you're not getting any younger. You're only gonna have more responsibilities. You're only gonna have more constraints. So now is the time.
Coach Nazir, what you got? What's on? What's
Well,
on?
ending out the year, here's the thing. We're doing a number of different things. All right. And I'm talking about business wise. There's 1 week left in the year. So tomorrow, we start a promotion with the Polygamy Boot Camp. My wives and I recorded a boot camp for polygyny for those who are interested in poly and doing it in the proper fashion. Okay. We have the Polygamy Masterclass at polyganymasterclass.com. We have the Polygamy Roadmap, which I would encourage everybody to get, men and women. We have one for men, one for women at the polygamy-roadmap.com. So what we're doing is we're running a promotion for a product that we have called the Polygamy Bootcamp, where it's $97 instead of $297 for the next 7 days. So if you go to Outstanding Personal Relationships or polygamybootcamp.com or whatnot, you can get that information. You can either join and take advantage of that before it goes up. We have an educational campus that is launching January 1st for marriage and relationship, of course, focusing on polygyny because it does not get its fair air play. All right, so the first quarter is going to be expanding our business in that perspective. Outstanding Personal Relationships, of course. I started initially on online marketing for myself and family with Outstanding Muslim Parents. So the first quarter there is going to be expanding and scaling the products that we have. And then our marketing company that I'm starting with my older children and my teenage sons and stuff as well, when it comes to social media and Facebook marketing and stuff like that, is already sketched out for the first 90 days of the first quarter. So that's just, again, business wise, and what we're going to do on January 1st, in addition to the marital conference and convention that's going on with our dear sister Naima, is make sure we are, I think about 3 to 4 hours, we're going to go live showing people how to set up their year for free with, planning it out properly, knowing how to set goals, knowing how to put systems in place and the proper habits in place to accomplish them, and not wait for a year. Like, it doesn't matter whatsoever that this Gregorian calendar is going to Jack or January of another year. It doesn't matter. What matters is it's your lifetime. You are the oldest you have ever been in your life right now, and the youngest you'll ever be again right now today. So what matters is what you put into effect now. So the things that we talked about at the beginning of this, with the tips to get a book done a day, making sure your fitness is right, your physical stuff is right, your health and all of these things matter. But if you put it in place and you work that system, you have no choice but to win. So what we're doing, we're excited about it. We revved up about it, but it's not going to change what we're already doing right now. So there's 1 week left in a year. We have a special promotion going on with our polygamy boot camp. Get our polygamy roadmap. Again, it's $7 to learn about polygyny and learn what it takes as a man to be on a higher level, but also what it takes as a woman to not be average and to raise above the trivial mini. Because the trivial mini will always be out there. The shoulders are always going to be sharp, trying to box each other out. But once you raise above that, it's really not that crowded. So anyway, that's what we're doing. And I stick on the saying that, look, a wish changes nothing, but a decision changes everything. So be outstanding. Who says average is okay? All right. Average is nothing but the top of the bottom or the bottom of the top. So skip being average, get your shift together, take things to another level, inshallah ta'ala, and make it happen.
I mean. Yeah, Habib, please make sure you drop the links in the comments and make sure that I get them. So I'll make sure I put them in the description for sure. I'll definitely make sure that that's in there. And for me, let me just share this right quick. This is the focus. First quarter this year, what I'm doing is I'm launching my community, and it's focused purely on emotional well-being. That's literally what I'm pouring my energy in. I'm doing the coaching as always, but I'm focusing on putting my time and attention into people who are seriously committed to learning how to understand their emotions and how to regulate their thinking. That's the focus. It's a 3-month membership, every month, $10. After 3 months, you have to reassess, are you gaining value from this or are you not gaining value? You want to stay in, you pay again. The aim in this is to teach people how to get better, not just feel better. That's the aim here. I'm not interested in just having a whole bunch of people in this community. My focus is to teach people how to regulate their emotions. That's the focus. That's what I'm putting my energy into for the first quarter. It's going to be mainly around issues of premarital issues, marriage issues, and parenting issues, and how you can use the modality that I use, CBT, towards those issues that I see mainly with my client base. But again, let me be very clear about this, extremely clear about this. Alhamdulillah, I'm in a good space. I don't need people in this community. I'm only interested in people joining the community that really want to do the self-work. So save your money if you're going to get in the community and not do the work. I'm going to push you. Right? I'm not looking just to get numbers and to get people. I'm good. I enjoy this. This is my passion. So I'm putting my energy in this, but I'm putting my energy in this for people who really want to get in control of their thinking and their emotions. So please don't join this if you're not really ready to invest in yourself. I like that part that you mentioned earlier in our discussion, Coach Nazir, about pouring your purse into your mindset. What was that you said earlier?
Benjamin Franklin said, if you pour your purse into your mind will turn around and pour it back into your purse.
Yeah. And so that's a critical piece, man. Like, again, that's what I'm focused on. That's the first quarter is putting up the information for people who maybe cannot afford a session, but can go in and learn how to use the same formula that I use in my sessions, right? The goal in this is to make myself obsolete in people's lives. Because if you know how to work the formula, you don't need me, right? If you know how to look at your thinking, to stop your thinking and check if there's a demand, or if I'm awfulized, or if there's frustration, intolerance, or if I'm devaluing myself or others, and then you know how to work through that, then you may not need me. And that's good. That's where I want to get people to. That's the aim of coaching people, right? You want to give people the skill sets so that they don't need you, that they're good on their own, not build dependency. So with that being said, that's what I'm working on first quarter. And my advice that I would give people is, uh, and again, this is my biasy, prioritize your thinking and your emotions, your emotional health. Because oftentimes what I see is people make hasty decisions, costly decisions in their relationship with their self and others based off of temporary emotions. And if you don't know how to regulate your emotions, how to de-escalate that, you can make some hasty decisions that are costly financially, costly emotionally, costly in terms of your relationship with your wife or wives and your kids. So my advice, first quarter, kind of drown out that noise, that social media noise, and invest in getting your mind right and your emotions right. With that being said, anything else that you brothers want to share before we go? Coach Nasir, please make sure I get those links, because I want to make sure that I put them in the comments for people as well uh, uh, after you leave.
I got you there, brother. I definitely appreciate you having me on today. To share this information, getting those jewels and nuggets from you, sharing at the last part of this year for many people. So again, I appreciate you, respect what you're doing, and look forward to your community thriving and growing and really benefiting their lives and getting that barakah from all over the world. Alhamdulillah, may Allah Ta'ala increase your efforts, give you tawfiq, and benefiting everyone who came this evening. If I say anything wrong, of course, it is definitely from myself. Please forgive me. Ask Allah Ta'ala forgive me and keep my family in your du'as, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair.
Afwan Abi. Ismail?
Yeah, man. I just wish your channel was known to more, and I just wish to see it grow, because I think it can be really beneficial to the community. So may Allah grow your channel to the point where this message reaches out more people, more brothers and sisters who need it. And thank you for the work that you're doing for the community. I really appreciate that. Both of you brothers, I really appreciate the work that you do for the community. And may Allah give you the barakah for doing so. And may Allah reward you with the best of rewards.
Ameen. And look, I appreciate both of you brothers. May Allah increase you both in all that is best in this life and the next. I appreciate you for giving me your time, man, because I know as a man, the most fleeting, most valuable resource we have is time, right? And so you brothers gave me that tonight. So I appreciate you. Everybody in the chat that joined in, please like and share this. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace.